Hello, my little Glinda the Good Witches. Hello, reading three. I can't remember if it was reading three or reading four. So if you were drawn to one or the other, and you're watching this one, I would check out reading four as well. I don't know what's in reading four because I did the same, but one of the cards wasn't behaving. When I was first setting this up, I literally had like they were in the wood. It looked so cute. And look, I had like the trees and it was just super, super, super cute. Super cute. It was so cute. And they just wouldn't behave. And so they all like fell at the same time. And as you saw them when you chose your reading, that's how they ended up. And I just like laughed so hard. So I kind of feel like your energy is just beautiful. I feel a really strong connection to the fairies. I feel like maybe that's why you're in the middle of this reading, right? To bring me back to life, kind of thing. Because technically I did a reading for the tribe and then reading one, too. So this is, even though you're reading three, it's technically reading four for me. And I have two more to go. But I just felt invigorated by your energy. So thank you, thank you, thank you. At first, when it was a little dim, I thought maybe something was happening. Um, with you. I thought like there was some darkness because we had some darkness in reading too. And so I thought maybe that's what was going on. But now I see what's happening and I'm looking at this card and I'm looking at you and I love you guys so much. Do you see how the fairy is kind of sitting on the edge of the dark and the light? If you have never heard Edge of Glory from Lady Gaga, I want you to please go find it. I used to put the links below and all that, but it's for you to go and look up at your own. And even if you have heard it before, find it and put it on and dance your heart out. Just dance your heart out. I was going to say dance your motherfucking heart out, but I'm serious. And I'm seeing hearts everywhere, by the way. Like I'm seeing like a heart like here. I saw a heart here. I'm just seeing hearts like everywhere in the card. And I just feel like you guys just have this like very loving, light, energy. But, she says, I'm on the edge of glory, right? And I'm hanging on a moment with you. I believe it is. I'm that kind of person. Like when I'm singing it, I know the words, but like if I have to like talk it out, I'm like, what? It's like my natural like musical body energy. I don't know. But yeah, I just feel like you guys need a good dance, a good jig. Like you just need to dance and like just enjoy it. Speaking of, I feel like for some of you, either you did the Irish jig growing up, or like I know where I grew up in the South Side of Chicago, it was so Irish, and being Kelly, like oh my gosh, it was like people are like, oh, your name is Kelly. Like I can't do it. I don't want to butcher it because it's part of my heritage. It's like there's so many brogues, like there's so many different ways to speak in the UK that anybody who could do all of them is like my hero. It's unbelievable. It's like even just in each country, there's different dialects and different tones or whatever. But yeah, I felt this energy from you guys, like that you're like on the edge of glory. I don't know what your card is. I don't know what the message is from spirit, but do you see how like there's like the light and the dark? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Spirit says if you want to do that when it feels good, then more power to you. If you want to help people, because I feel like for you guys, you're light workers. Even if you don't know you're a light worker, you're a light worker. You're that person that everyone is excited to see on Monday, after a weekend or whatever. It's like because they want to tell you all their shit or they want to, you're a shoulder to cry on. You're the family member that everybody talks to. You probably don't move very much. I remember one time I went to a wedding with my family and I couldn't handle the energy inside. It was literally like, I was like crying hysterically. I couldn't breathe. My friend was like, oh my gosh. She was like, "Oh, you're not okay." I'm like, dude, I'm like, there's so much sadness in this room. Like I had never felt so much sadness in all of my life. So I had to literally sit outside. But funny how people just gravitated to me outside. And it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm the queen, come and talk to me. It was just like, no, people wanted to talk to me, which, hi, Mikey. One of the people that was at that wedding was throat chakra. Oh my gosh, I don't want to like say too much about my personal life, but basically they were so much younger than me that I couldn't believe that they were actually like asking me for advice, like spiritual advice, whatever. And then I found out a few years later that they died in a car accident. And I was just like, I was just so blown away, because even though I talked to so many people that day, I remember thinking like, he was so young. And so I know you're here, Mikey. Oh my gosh, I can feel him. Oh my gosh. I haven't really called in a lot. I don't call in a lot of my personal whatever, you know what I mean? Because this is your reading. Or so maybe Mikey is here for you, or maybe you have a Mikey in your life, or someone who's crossed over that you were really close to, or that it happened like that to you. Because I really don't mean to hijack your reading, but but he's saying it's okay. But like, I just felt this energy from them, and I was always walking the line like that, holding people's problems, holding, their light, their dark, trying to help them navigate through it. And I know it's part of my life purpose, but at the same time, I know when I need to rest. I know when I need to relax, and I feel like you guys don't do that enough. And the reason why you're on the edge of glory, but not actually in the glory that you're meant to be in right now, is because you're giving too much of yourself to others. You have to feed yourself first, right? It's the oxygen mask theory. It's the food theory, where the mothers are like, giving their children the food. And it's like, yeah, well, who's going to get the food if you're dead? Like, you have to feed yourself. Also, I'm feeling like this energy of like going into the crystal ball. So maybe some of you are scryers, or maybe you just need to get your, your mystic back, like maybe you just need to bring the magic back into your life. And I feel like the fairies are like, we are here for you. Like, whatever you need, like, oh, did you see that? Like little sparkle? They're like, whatever you need, they got you. They got you. You're not alone, and you don't have to like hold this, like, you're like, I can't hold it anymore, sir, right? It's like, you don't have to hold that burden. This message has been coming up a lot lately in music and song from all different readers. I keep getting the same message, which is like, we are here to help each other. No person can just take care of themselves, and it's not your job to take care of everybody else either. People will survive, I promise you. Even a child would survive, right? If you're not giving them 100%. They have to learn to do some things for themselves. Otherwise, when they get older and they go out into the world, look what happens. Honestly, when I look at the world the way it is now, it's because people weren't taking care of each other. Because if everybody loved themselves and we all took care of each other, there wouldn't be greed. There wouldn't be a need to want to like take over the world. You know what I mean? There wouldn't be a need to be like, it's like you have so much, but you know that other countries are starving. You're like, well, it's not my country. I don't fucking care. It's like, well, you should care, because you're all on the same planet and the same solar system and the same universe. We are one, and you should care about this person, and you should care about that person, right? But we start shooting all over ourselves and each other. And when we start shooting, then it just like really falls apart and falls to shit. So interesting. I didn't know we were going to go into that. I'm like, we have been on your reading for 8 minutes and we haven't even looked at your card. That's a very rare thing. But let's get in. But it was meant to be, you needed to hear that. Okay. So, let me bring the light back in. Bring the light back in. I got my little trusty dusty lantern. 20 renewal. Okay, see, that makes so much sense. And what did I just say? You're the person everybody wants to look at. All those beautiful energies flocking around that beautiful, like Gandalf, right? They all just, it's like whenever Gandalf would come, everyone's like, Gandalf, you know what I mean? Because he's like the cool grandpa, the uncle, the best friend, that is saying everything Spirit just said to you. And look at this. You have fairies flocking to you. Oh, I love it. Look at the rabbit. Also, we're in the year of the rabbit, the water rabbit. So that may mean something to you guys. You may be the year of the rabbit. And if you are, remember this. Whenever it's your year, it's a hard year. It's in the Chinese zodiac and their astrology system, or whatever you would call it. I don't know the terminology. Please don't quote me. But in that world, in that realm, right? In my experience and the studies that I've done in that realm, it is where you learn the lessons. So maybe this is a message for you to just really take it one breath, one step at a time. That's all we can ever do, is just live in the present, be in the present. Then you can observe, take the emotions out of it. You can observe and flow like the water of this rabbit, because rabbits represent fear in the Native American tradition, right? So there's something here for you guys. It's almost like you're afraid if you don't help this person, or like something happens to them and you're like, see, I could have prevented it. But you can't prevent everything. They have to fuck up. They have to make their own mistakes. Otherwise, they'll never learn anything. you know, especially older people. When older people take advantage, oh my gosh, I had this person who kept saying, you know, they were going to take advantage of people, and they're like, and then I'm just gonna, you know, blame it on elder abuse. And I was like, that's horrific. Like in my mind, I didn't say anything, but I was just like, that is really wrong. You know, like, so, you know, even if that person did deserve it, I was like, in their eyes, it's like, we are not the judge, jury, and executioner, right? The end all be all. And even if you are the one that writes the checks, because I feel like this is somebody writing checks and you're, you know, whatever, you don't get to let other people control you just because they're writing the checks. You still get to say, you know what? And that's the thing too, I'm hearing, then gain your independence so that you don't have to. So this says, review the past and the present so you can plan a bright new future. Yes. Oh my gosh, I love you, Spirit. Understanding your life purpose, releasing judgments of yourself and others. Literally everything we just said, right? So we're in a situation like that, my family. And I was finding that everybody was like, not everybody, but like the people in our situation, were getting a lot of fearful energy around making certain choices. And I was like, why are we concerned about that? Right? Like, why is there a fear around making that choice? And then finally it came out. I'm like, oh, because X, Y, and Z. And they're like, yeah. And I said, well, yeah, but if we let that control us, we let that control our lives. I'm like, then we've already lost. And this isn't a competition with anyone but ourselves, meaning like we are lost if we are not sticking up for ourselves. And I'm hearing for you guys, your intentions in this Aquarius moon cycle is this is renewal, baby. You're going to start telling people who you are and laying down the law that's right for you. Now, that doesn't mean, right? Karma is very fucking real and she never forgets an address. So be mindful. Come with love, come with happiness and joy and pride that you can stay above water. You're going to have moments of anger and strife, right? That's life. But you go in it, you feel it, you work with it, and you let it go. Don't live there. And don't live in other people's shit. Because I feel like you're the place where people dump all their shit off of. And you know what? You're not a dumpster and you're not a landfill. You're not an emotional dumpster and landfill for other people who don't know where to put their own shit. It's time for them to learn how to do. You need to let them, right? It's like the baby and the self-soothing. You know, some people believe you should let a baby cry. Other people are like, that's mean, that's awful, you know, blah, blah, blah. I personally think it's mean to leave a baby because I think a baby is like, it's a time where you're in the nurturing phase. Yes, there's a time where, you know, you don't run to them every second and they have to learn to self-soothe when they live, you know, sleep in their own room or, you know, whatever. Or however it's different for everybody. I don't want to judge the way you raise your children or anybody. It's not exactly right. It's not my place to judge. It's not our place to judge. Right? But the only place that you should be having your mind right now is understanding your life purpose. And life purpose came up in the other one of the other readings too. So if you were pulled to one of the other readings, I highly suggest you check it out. So review the past and the present so that you can plan a bright new future. And I can hear the underbelly of the grunts and the groans, but you know what? We gotta fucking own our shit and we gotta deal with it. Releasing judgments of yourself and others. Someone in our tribe asked me recently, Lula, how do I let go of anger? And I said, well, I'm working with this one myself. And I said, in what respect? And they explained that they were very angry with their sister. So I'll put it in the dark a little bit. Let's go to the dark. They were angry with the sister. And I said, okay. Apparently the sister did something really awful to them. And I didn't ask for specifics because I don't need to know. It's none of my business. But I said, you have to forgive her. And she's like, oh, no, I can't forgive her. Drink some water. I needed to have some water and you needed to have some with me because you need to stay hydrated. 1431 is your angel number as well. You can research that on your own. And any way those numbers go together, you can add them together, however, you know, it could mean something to you. It could even be like a brother-sister thing. That's why they're having me bring up this story because I saw 13 and 14 like as ages. So that could be something that's going on. Maybe your children are fighting with each other and you're like, I don't know what to do, Lula. I don't know how to, you know. But it's forgiveness. We are all on our own path. And if they're a true friend and a true love in your heart, no one who truly loves you will ever, ever expect you to give more of yourself than you can give just to appease them. That is not love. That is control. That is manipulation. That's narcissism. I mean, I can go on and on. There's lots of, human labels that have been put on that energy, but it's just a me energy, and that's not allowed. I felt like Christopher Walken. It's not allowed. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not allowed. I love your Christopher Walken. Oh, it's awesome. Anyway, you hear me? You feel me? This is your life and your journey, and you get to decide how it's going to go. Nobody else gets to decide how this goes. So I feel like I'm like pulling up my pants, and you can hear my jingle of my boots, and I'm like, there's a new sheriff in town. You know what I mean? And it's called the light. And you don't have to be in the darkness just because other people want to drag you down there with them. You are allowed to live in the light and with the fairies and in the forest and writing your books and your stories, because now this doesn't look like a check writer. This looks like somebody who's free, and write about it. I was writing a song the other day, and it was, of course, painful and hurtful. It would be to my family if they looked at it through the eyes of, whatever. But when I was younger and I was an aspiring singer-songwriter, I was so proud of this song that I had wrote and recorded, and I played it for my family, and they like lost their noodle because they're like, oh great, so now everybody's going to know that dad beat mom. That's nice. Because it was like 1997, I think, or something. And I'm like, this is a song. This is what happened. This is what happened in our family. I should be able to talk about it, And then Mary J. Blige came out with No More Drama. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, that was like basically like I wrote that song, similar to that song, like, before I'd ever even heard that song, And so the other night I was writing, I don't know if it's going to be a song or a poem, but I was writing, and it was like lyrics from that song. I couldn't even remember it fully, but lyrics from that song were coming back, and I was like, I'm like melding them into like this, song now. And I thought, I don't give a fuck anymore what my friends or my family or anybody thinks, because that was my story. That was what I lived through. And if I want to talk about that, that is my story. Nobody gets to tell you what your story is or what version of your story is. I saw something recently when when they were on Keeping Up with the Kardashians many, many, many moons ago. It was an early episode, and they were talking about, calling Kim out on her diva behavior and all of her stuff. And Khloe and Rob were very quick to like say, you don't know, because they're like, it was like the way they both responded, you could tell like, yes, she did do that, but she doesn't see herself that way as a bully. She sees herself as the older sibling. She sees herself as like, or the situation, you could see like that she genuinely, that's how she saw it. That's how it was to her, because we all see the story or remember. She even said, well, I remember it differently. And that's when Rob's like, you always remember it differently, right? Like and I was like, oh, dude. And that made me think of my family too. I'm the youngest. It was the same thing. They would say, don't you think it's interesting that we all remember it one way and you remember it another way? But I was the like open medium, and I was like, I was hearing all their thoughts as a telepath, and I was not understanding what I was doing, right? And so it could be that for you guys too. 1919, when I look down, if you're a people pleaser, maybe you're doing it because you're trying to hide your gifts or hide, what I mean? It says review the past and the present, right? I'm going to put this up here. I liked the way that lighting was. That's why I left it there. But I want to put this here again. Review the past and the present so you can plan a bright new future. understanding your life purpose, right? Because if you understand who you are and where you come from and you forgive it and you look at it without emotion, you just stand out and look at it from a higher perspective as the light worker you are, not as the sister, the brother, the friend, the boss, the employee, whatever. No, just look at it as who you are now and look at you in the story, right? Review the past and the present so you can plan a bright new future. What part did you play in that, right? We're all the victim and the hero in somebody's story, always. And when we release the judgment of ourselves and others, you know, if you keep replaying that same argument over and over. I just saw on Haley Khalil, she did one of her little shorts and it was so funny. It was totally about that. And it is, because everybody sees everything from their own level of consciousness. Also, this little feather came in. So the angels wanted you to know, look at this sweet baby feather. And yes, it is as precious and soft as it looks. It's ridiculous. It keeps floating around here. Spirit's saying when you see the feathers, that's them talking to you. Believe it. Believe it. You're not crazy. All right, you guys, this went a little long. Until next time, take really good care of yourselves and each other. You're worth every second of my time. It's just I only have so much on my phone. I could talk to you forever about how awesome you are and how beautiful you are. But you have to take care of yourself first, okay? And also the number 20 means something, or the number 2. You can research that on your own, okay? Angel number, numerology, whatever feels good. I love you so much. See you next time. Blessed be.